My name is Troy Wong. I am the co-founder and chief financial officer of Neptune Technologies Corp. Neptune Technologies Corp went public on January 23rd of 2018, raising gross proceeds of $23 million since the inception of the company, which is October 31st, 2017. And what makes us very, very interesting is that we are the world's first public company that specializes in masternodes and the Dash blockchain cryptocurrency. In order to understand what a masternode is, we have to back up a little bit. A masternode is a server on the blockchain that processes transactions on the Dash blockchain that gets paid a portion of the block reward for providing that service. All right, so how I came up with the idea of Neptune. So it was me and my co-founder, Cale Moody, and we were basically chatting. We're trying to go through the typical sort of founder debate of how do you pick a name? And actually really hard, right? And so usually it starts with going online, coming up with a random name and just seeing if the .com is available, right? So we're going through that and we're spending a week back and forth. And it was actually significantly taking away from our ability to build the business because you spend all of your time trying to think of a name, right? And so I wanted to do something like bit or coin related. And my co-founder was adamantly against that because it just seemed very trendy right now. Everything is chain, coin, bit, something, and that's great, but you want to do something a little bit different. And so I came up with this idea. I was like, okay, what it could possibly be? And we thought about Bitcoin, and there's this concept of going to the moon, right? And the Bitcoin price is going up, and it's to the moon. And so we thought, well, we're going to Neptune, and that's how we came up with the name. The vision behind Neptune Dash is this idea that cryptocurrencies are going to trade globally all around the world the same way that gold, copper, silver, and lithium trade, right? And the only way that's going to accelerate is if users can purchase it on the open market, both in a stock market, as well as purchase it in the open cryptocurrency market, right? And right now, in the currently world that we live in today, the only way that you can purchase Dash or Bitcoin, Ethereum effectively is through the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency markets. And so the vision behind Neptune Dash was to create a public company that holds as much digital currency as possible, while also earning more digital currency each month, whereby a user could basically seamlessly purchase cryptocurrency in and out through the stock market while also having that exposure. I started off as an entrepreneur, and I've never actually been the executive of a public company before, and really fell in love with the blockchain and cryptocurrency space just by reading about it online and joining the various Reddit and Telegram communities. And the more I read about cryptocurrencies, the more I fell in love with the concept of non-government money. And the more I actually began to understand blockchain, it really echoed to me that each blockchain is its own ecosystem, where different users are coming together, basically working in their own self-interests to create something better. So that concept really, really resonated with me. And I started waking up every day at 6 o'clock in the morning, going to coffee shops and actually working even on weekends in terms of reading, researching, and trading cryptocurrency markets to a point where I was showing up at my job and I actually wasn't doing any work anymore. I was only trading. And so I realized that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me to be able to leave my current sort of corporate job and actually build something on my own. And I made the leap. It took me about 5 months to really sort of formally put together the pitch deck and actually begin to approach investors. The first 5 months were me sort of what I would call wandering around the desert. I knew that I wanted to participate in blockchain. I started consulting at various blockchain startups just to try and make my way and make connections in the space. I'm fortunate enough to be trained as a chartered accountant, so I could approach a blockchain and cryptocurrency startup and sort of immediately add value that way in terms of building out a finance function. But even working at some of the top cryptocurrency startups here in Toronto as a contract chief financial officer, I realized that I was very much still working in an accounting and finance role, and I wasn't on sort of the bleeding edge of blockchain. And if I wanted to do that, and I wanted something where I would spend all of my time just reading, researching, and networking and building part of the ecosystem, I'd have to do it on my own. And so after about 5 months of networking, of trading, of consulting various blockchain startups, I was fortunate enough to come up with the idea of a Dash Masternode company, put together the concept in about a week, and receive funding in about 2 weeks later. So the process occurred quite quickly. So new investors should always pay their taxes in everything. I'm an accountant by trade, and so I obviously firmly believe that as someone who used to prepare tax returns for a living. But in order for us to actually gain in order for our reputation to actually grow and become a real asset class, it can't be one full of malicious actors that bypass or the traditional mechanisms of governing our economy, and one of them is paying taxes, right? So what I will say is that I think that it's sort of prudent and basically incumbent on our regulatory and tax governors to come together and study this technology and figure out the appropriate way to tax it. Right now, we haven't been given a lot of guidance on how to actually tax cryptocurrencies, and they're basically be treating as commodities. And if the tax regulation associated with cryptocurrencies is over cumbersome, then you're going to have a lot of malicious actors that will avoid it altogether. Where I see cryptocurrency tax payments going like in the long term, in 10, 20, 30 years, I envision a world where all of our tokens are tracked in a digital wallet that automatically calculates all of our taxes immediately, both when I potentially earn tokens or when I trade tokens, whereby it's basically just done, right, on a 24/7 basis. And it's done so in a way where the government doesn't have all my information, because there's a number of blockchain technologies being invented right now where your ID is secured on the blockchain, but not all of your ID. And so you can basically choose to release whatever portions of your identity that you feel comfortable with. And so if I feel like I want to be regulatory tax compliant, then I can pay my taxes. And all the government will see is they won't see who I am as a person, but they'll just see that, yes, this person is regulatory compliant, and they can move on. What's really great about blockchain is that it's decentralized, right? Which is the idea that all of the intellectual capital and actual capital isn't sort of stored in one place. And so there is a very clear argument to be made that during the technology boom in the early 90s that you need to live in Silicon Valley. And if you didn't actually live in Silicon Valley, it'd be hard to benefit. And with the proliferation of the internet and sort of the distribution of economic and intellectual capital around the world globally, what's really interesting about blockchain technology is that the blockchain movement is dispersed all over the world evenly. Right? And so there's no one particular geographic location where someone needs to live to really actually get involved in blockchain. It's mostly online. And so some of the smartest people that I've ever met in blockchains actually have never been to a blockchain summit or a blockchain networking event. They're just online, and they're networking on Reddit groups, on Telegram groups, they're joining chat channels, they're participating in blogs, they're going on YouTube and reading and watching all of the thought leaders in the space. And so that's actually the most interesting aspect of blockchain technology, is this idea that people can live all around the world and still contribute to the ecosystem without having to live in a specific geographic location. Hey everyone, this is Troy Wong from Neptune Dash. You're watching Inside the Chain.